everybody now. Musical screens, I feel like, is what
Yes,
this session will turn into, or ISV speed dating, something like that. But anyway,
exactly.
great to be here, and thank you for letting me present here. So I'm Jake Estes. I'm a sales engineer for Avalara. Today, I'm going to be taking you through the Avalara offering, a little bit of context around who we are, if you haven't heard of Avalara in the past. And then we're going to go and talk about how Avalara interacts with Dynamics Finance, and we'll do a quick demo of that integration at the very end. So um, let's get into it. So a little bit of just sort of a disclaimer here. I'm a technology guy. I'm not a tax advisor, is basically what this is telling you. So this is just for informational purposes only, not meant to be tax advice. Okay. So with that out of the way, a little bit of background around about Avalara. We've been around about 20 years now. We are a global company, so of course we're talking about sales and use tax here in the United States primarily today. But just know that Avalara is a global operation with lots of different global tax and technology services. So our tax engine, which is what we're going to talk about primarily today, is a global offering, of course, but you can basically choose which modules you want to use it for. If it's just sales tax here in the US, that's great as well. But just know that with Avalara, it becomes very easy to scale globally if that's something your business is intending on doing. So, what makes tax so tough? If we're talking to tax managers and things, they've oftentimes are just very overwhelmed with what the requirements are because it's not just sales and use taxes. You've got property taxes. You've got, hey, we're shipping into Canada or we're opening an office in Canada. What do we have to do when we expand? Here in the United States, if we're just expanding across state lines, how do we figure out where we have nexus? How do we figure out tax accruals on purchases, right? There's just so many things that you have to, try to focus on. And it becomes very overwhelming, as I've mentioned. But the good thing is that there's a lot of technology out there, including Avalara, to help you automate a lot of these tasks and remove all the manual effort you're currently going through. Okay. So the way that the Avalara tax service works, that's what we're going to focus on today. The previous screen showed a bunch of bubbles and tax research and property tax. Don't worry, in 15 minutes, we can't get through all of that. Um, but when it comes to Dynamics Finance, what immediately happens when the invoice is posted or a sales order is drafted is that Avalara, first off, looks at the address. So we're going to validate the address to make sure that A, you don't have any problems with your carriers getting product from A to B. But our system takes that complete address, we convert it to a lat long coordinate behind the scenes, and that's what drives the tax decision. So when we figure out what the jurisdiction is, we then look at, are you registered in that jurisdiction? If you're shipping into Pennsylvania, but you're not registered in Pennsylvania, you don't have to worry about sales tax necessarily. Okay, so we look at, are you registered? We then check, is your customer exempt? Are they a nonprofit? Are they a government? Are they a distributor, right? Some other sort of wholesale partner. And then, of course, if they're not, exempt, we're going to look at the next piece of the puzzle here, which is how do we have to apply tax? In most states, you charge sales tax based off of the destination, where the product is going to. There are a handful of states where you actually look at, the origin address, or if you're in California, it's a combination of origin and destination. And so Avalara is going to automatically apply these sourcing rules to make sure that the application of tax is done correctly. Once the sourcing rules are in play, we go, okay, is this a state, county, city, special taxing jurisdiction, special district tax? We figure out which jurisdictions we actually need to collect on based off of those sourcing rules. And then once all the jurisdictional information is figured out, and by the way, this is all happening in real time. This is like the blink of an eye, Avalara is doing all of this. When the jurisdiction information is figured out, we then look line by line to figure out, hey, what it is that you're selling, how are things priced, okay? And all, in the kind of similar theme to the last rectangle here, we figure out, is the product taxable, or if it's a service, is it non-taxable? Is it subject to some kind of special tax rate that we need to apply, like a surcharge or something like that? But we figure out line by line how we're going to be taxing it based off the jurisdictional rules. Okay. Again, invoice is posted. What we're also doing in addition to all the tax determination is we're going to automate the data capture, which means you don't have to import data into Avalara. So you see the taxes on the invoice record. Avalara captures the information automatically, so then you can use us to file tax returns or just extract data and file your tax returns in-house. Okay, and then of course sleep peacefully like you've never done before after this process happens again in the blink of an eye. Okay, so this is just a screen grab from our cloud console. So you can see this is the data that we're storing. You've got, a ship to here in Phoenix. And this address, has 3 different tax jurisdictions it's subject to: state, county, city. Here are the order of operations. Again, are you collecting tax? Is your customer taxable? And is the product or service taxable? These are the considerations we make on every single call, in addition to all of the behind the scenes magic, if you will, that we went through on the previous slide. Okay. So what's nice about using the Avalara service is that it integrates with Dynamics, of course, but also many other business applications. So if you're running subscriptions through a different tool, if you've got an e-commerce website set up, you've got something handling your purchases, right, expenses, things like that, Avalara can calculate tax in any business application, which allows you to automatically consolidate tax data into your Avalara account, and then not have to worry about how taxes are being calculated across the different systems. So there's 2 benefits, of course, is tax determination, but also the automated consolidation of your invoice data into a single reporting engine. Okay. So again, I've mentioned this a couple of times now, but with Avalara's integration into D365, you're not building and maintaining custom code. It's a matter of installing the Avalara app, managing some configuration, but basically, you're able to get off the ground with the Avalara service quite quickly, and then automate a lot of the compliance activity that you're probably doing manually today, updating tax schedules and tax tables, monitoring exemption statuses of customers and things like that. So Avalara has a long-standing partnership with Microsoft since basically our founding. We've had a relationship, a technology-based relationship. So and there's lots of mutual customers that are on a Microsoft ERP and Avalara, roughly 2,000 or so. So very much a tried and true integration that a lot of customers are using. Okay. So there's different modules within Avalara. I kind of teased that earlier on one of the first slides. You've got the tax engine that, of course, does your real-time tax determination. There's accounts payable, which allows you to build a rules engine. We do handle cross-border and VAT determination, as well as filing. So if you've got requirements outside of North America, we can certainly help you there as well. Exemption certificate management. So as you obtain new certificates over time for exempt customers, you can centralize everything in your Avalara console. And then with all that data, we're able to prepare, file, and remit your state and local taxes. All right. So now it's time for a quick demo. So let's head into our finance console here. So again, this is, I'm sure everyone here is familiar with this screen here. When the Avalara connector is deployed, there's a little bit of setup you do here. You plug in your license key, you're mapping your sales tax group to be Avalara. And that's really kind of the extent of what you're doing in here. Avalara is very much a behind the scenes service. You don't have to log into our console to look up tax rates. You and your users are just going to bill customers, process sales orders and credits and things like that, just as you normally would. It's just that when Avalara is set up, this AvaTax trigger here, it basically tells finance to ping Avalara to figure out how I need to tax this customer. Okay, or on the AP side, you want to accrue use tax on a vendor bill on an AP document. It works the same way. We're just doing that verification in real time. But let's go ahead and mock up an invoice just to kind of show you that behind the scenes action. So we'll look at a customer card here. So I've got my widgets company. Now, what you'll see here is when you set up Avalara, you do have the option to actually tell Avalara that this customer is exempt. Because remember, when we're in Dynamics Finance here, you're essentially setting Avalara as the default tax service. Okay, so what that means is you need to tell us that a customer is exempt. So you can just click this button here. It fires off a record to get created in your Avalara account, and then you can go and bill that customer and exempt them. We can store the PDFs in our console too, and that allows you to basically retrieve PDFs from your Avalara account. You don't have to toggle between 2 different apps. We've got all kinds of APIs embedded in here that allow you to just work within Dynamics, right? You're already paying for it. You're already using Dynamics Finance. So why would you have to learn a new application? You can just do what you'd normally do in this system. Okay. So let's go ahead and sell to this customer. Okay. So we'll just generate up here a sales order. All right. And we're going to let's change the shipping address. This is a New York address. Let's ship them to San Francisco. Okay, good example here. So I'm going to add an item to my order. Sorry about that. Click the wrong window. Let's choose a computer monitor, right? Some electronics here. So I've added my item, which is great. If I want to preview tax, I can just hit the sales tax button, and this pings Avalara to figure out what the tax rate is without you having to look anything up manually. Okay. What you're seeing here is that we've got a county rate and a state rate, okay, of 4 and 4%, and the total here is 10.56%. Okay. So that's Avalara. That's behind the scenes what we're doing. It's real-time tax determination. Okay. We're looking at the address. We're looking at the invoice. Invoice lines, excuse me, all your quantities, your discounts, all that data just gets sent to Avalara, and then we're figuring out how to tax it. If I were to go through and just invoice this customer, let's just do that. There's actually going to be two things that happen behind the scenes. We're doing the tax calculation, but that data capture I talked about earlier, that's what's happening right now. So the invoice attributes that you see, all that tax data and everything else, that goes into your Avalara account, and it's available through different reports, of course, but then you can automate the preparation, filing, and remittance through the Avalara system without having to like import data into the console or anything like that. By using Dynamics Finance, it's all just pushed automatically on top of giving you real-time tax determination. And if a rate changes, it goes up, it goes down. Something was non-taxable that is now subject to sales tax. We apply all those updates automatically, so you don't need to do anything. We do push about 300,000 changes to the tax service every year. That's a lot of changes for you to track and your internal teams to track, but as things change throughout the year, month over month, we apply the updates and you don't have to do anything. Okay. So with that being said, I hope you found this demonstration informative. In 15 minutes, I showed you what I could. If you have any questions, of course, you can contact us, Microsoft at avalara.com. But of course, you can find us on AppSource as well. Okay.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you
I
so
think I
much.
did okay for time, Amy.
Yes,
So yeah.
perfect. And I love how everything just happens behind the scenes, so you don't even have to think about it.